Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Ricky Green, your host from Untitled Sports, and you're watching the Alabama Football News and Rumors channel on YouTube, presented by Chat Sports. Took a couple of days off there after the season closed out, did some things with the family, but we are in full-on off-season mode now, so it is go time from here forward. We're going to look ahead today to the 2021 season and talk about some of our projected starters, both on offense and on the defensive side of the ball as well. It's time to get back to doing some Tide Talk, and we'll get started right now. Let's start off today's episode of Tide Talk with a question for our viewers. You know what to do by now. Get in the comment section and let me know what you think. I want you to give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe the University of Alabama Crimson Tide could repeat as national champions for the 2021 season? Y for yes, N for no, and I will pin this down below in the comment section. All right, so we're talking some rep chart type stuff on today's episode of Tide Talk. We're not going to say depth chart. We know Coach Saban does not like those two words anywhere near each other. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. Before we do that, though, if you haven't hit that subscribe button just yet, we're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers here on our YouTube channel, and we certainly would appreciate it if you could help us get there. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me right now. All right, offensive side of the ball, rep chart for the 2021 season. Might as well start it off at the quarterback position. That's what everybody's going to be watching. It'll be under a microscope this spring if we're able to have spring practice, which we all very much hope we are able to do that. We're going to kind of take the wait and see approach here at quarterback, and we're going to go Bryce Young or Paul Tyson. And then, of course, you've got the incoming freshman Jalen Milroe out of Texas, who is actually good enough, legitimately good enough to start in this league as a freshman. So that quarterback battle will be front and center this spring, this upcoming season. No doubt about it. Something we'll be watching very, very closely. Moving from the quarterback discussion, let's take a look for just a minute here at the offensive line. Now, Alabama is returning three guys that played a whole lot of football last season. We'll get Chris Owens back, who I think would be the guy at center. Again, did a very good job playing for Landon Dickerson this past season. And then we get Emil Ekiyor back, who I've got pegged, of course, as a guard on that line next season. And Evan Neal, I think, will move over to left tackle. I think he is the future at left tackle for Alabama, and I think that's kind of a known deal there around the football program. We'll see Evan Neal kick out to left. So potentially, just for discussion's sake today, you could have Evan Neal at left tackle, Emil Ekiyor at left guard, Chris Owens at center, and then there's so many names that could really man those last two spots on the opposite side of that offensive line. And if you are an offensive line coach and you're looking at this job that's open at the University of Alabama, definitely a situation you would want to get involved in. That's one of the biggest reasons I'm not at all worried about finding the right offensive line coach to replace Kyle Flood. There'll be no shortage of candidates. We've talked about it before. What I want you to do right now, though, is wander back down to that comment section for me and let me know who you think could finish out those other two spots on the offensive line for the Crimson Tide in 2021. Could it be guys like Pierce Quick? Maybe an incoming five-star freshman like J.C. Latham. Let me know what you think about that spot. A returning guy like Tommy Brown even. And I am definitely very interested to see what you all think about who could be the other two offensive linemen that make up our best five for the 2021 season. Now, receiver, Alabama's been a lead at wide receiver for several years now, and I don't think that's going to up and change for this upcoming season. John Mechie, of course, will lead that group. An ultra-talented receiver, really can kind of do it all there. The next one up at Alabama, no doubt, Returning guys like Slade Bolden, Javon Baker. You really just a deep and talented group that there are a plethora of options there. Don't really have to worry about wide receiver for Alabama next year. The tight end position, as far as I'm concerned, that starts and finishes with Jaleel Billingsley there at tight end for the Alabama Crimson Tide. He learned a lot from guys like Miller Forrestall and some of our other veteran guys within the program this past season. And he's one of the more athletic tight ends that we've had at Alabama at any time during the Nick Saban era. Jaleel Billingsley, in my opinion, is definitely our guy at tight end for the 21 season. So we've covered quarterback talk, offensive line, wide receivers, tight ends. Let's take a look at the running back situation real quick for next year's Alabama Crimson Tide. But before we start into all these talented backs, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me right now. If you're enjoying the content that we're putting out for you here on our YouTube channel, that forces that YouTube algorithm to recommend our videos more often. More recommendations turns into more views. We get more views. We pump out more content. It's a good situation for everybody all the way around. Hit that thumbs up button for me right now. The running back situation is another deal where you don't have to worry at all about the Crimson Tide next year at that position. Brian Robinson, if he does return to Alabama, I think is 1A there. 1B, I would look at, depending on how Trey Sanders is able to rehabilitate and come back from his injury from the car crash, either him or Jace McClellan there kind of at that 1B spot for me. The running back position, though, is deep and talented as it's ever been. Always keep a loaded stable of running backs at the University of Alabama, and next season won't be any different. If you haven't hit that subscribe button just yet, go ahead and do that right now and help us get to 6,000 subscribers. We certainly would appreciate that. Now let's flip things around here just for a couple of minutes and look at the defensive side of the ball for the Alabama Crimson Tide's 2021 season. I think the defense next year could even potentially be better than it was this past season. And the defense really started to come on throughout the season in 2020. So that is an exciting prospect for Alabama fans, no doubt. We'll start up front on the defensive line. Big Fedarian Mathis has already announced that he's coming back. He's a guy that can play defensive tackle. We can play him some at defensive end, positional flexibility, and a veteran leader there on the defensive line for Alabama. A guy like Big Tim Smith backing him up there at the tackle spot. The defensive end is kind of a situation where we've got 3 or 4 guys really that can rotate around in those 2 spots and really produce for the Alabama defense. The outside linebacker room at Alabama is absolutely silly at this point. We're talking about returning Christopher Allen, a second year for Will Anderson, the absolute electrifying freshman last season outside linebacker. Going to be a nightmare in year 2 for opposing quarterbacks, no doubt. And we're not even started to talk about guys like Drew Sanders yet, King Wakuda. You've even got other freshmen incoming like Dallas Turner. That room is absolutely loaded, no doubt about it. Middle linebacker, you get Christian Harris back. You got guys on campus like Ale Cajo. At number 42, Jalen Moody played really well this year when he had opportunities to go. So that middle linebacker position should be a strength for Alabama next year in the middle of that Crimson Tide defense, and something that we really believe will be a key part of Alabama returning an elite defense to the field next season. Now, defensive backs, another situation that's really good for the Tide. You can't make this up. Josh Jobe returns at one spot on the boundary. Potentially on the opposite side, you could have the number 1 JUCO corner in America, Kyrie Jackson. Maybe a freshman like Quincy McKinstry may have something to say about that other boundary corner spot. And then you're returning Malachi Moore, Brian Branch, DeMarco Helms, Jordan Battle, that can all have a say in that safety competition. Just a deep and talented overall defense for Alabama for the 2021 season. We've still got a ways to go before spring gets here yet, and I know the 2020 season just wrapped up. If you're still looking for your national championship merchandise, I will put a link here at the bottom of the screen and down in the comment section and description as well. You can click on chatsports.com/Tide2020/ to get all your national championship gear, and there ain't no doubt about it. No other way to put it, 2021 looks really good for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And if you are a coach that's thinking about filling one of these vacancies at Alabama, you got to know that you're coming into a loaded situation and coming into a team that at least preseason looks like a squad on both sides of the ball that could potentially repeat as national champions. And that's just keeping it 8 more than 92. I'm Ricky Green here for Tide Talk Sports on the Alabama Football News and Rumors channel, and we just ran all the way through our projected starters for the 2021 season. Thanks for joining us today for another great episode of Tide Talk. We'll see you next time. Roll Tide.